I still believe in heroes.
While Singapore is overcome by Avengers fever, a small film has just been released into cinemas, packed with more visceral action than the Avengers could ever pack in their film. Thugs getting shot in the head, shot in the stomach, knifed through the throat, knifed in the leg. But still, its director Gareth Evans makes his pitch on why it's still a great date movie, besides the hundreds of people dying and stuff.
The Raid, believe it or not, right, it might be a violent movie, but it's the best date movie you can ever have as a test, right? All you gotta do is, right, if you take your girlfriend, right, say you're interested and you're thinking about marriage, okay? You take your girlfriend to see The Raid. If by the end of that film, she's still with you, marry her and keep her, because she's a keeper for sure then.
But now you're in Singapore and everyone's having Avengers fever. This is pretty much The Raid is going up against the Avengers. Can I get your thoughts on Avengers?
I really like the Avengers. It'll be in its third week though by the time we come out. So hopefully well, no, it's still going to be very popular.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves.
Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
I think the good thing is like we're offering something different. We're offering something unique.
The Raid Redemption is an all-out action movie that has already been released in America. Made with a budget of just 1.1 million USD, the film has grossed over $4 million in the US alone, winning multiple awards at international film festivals. The film setup is easy. A SWAT team is tasked to take down a crime lord at his base of operations, a housing building filled with his henchmen. Starring the Silat-trained Indonesian actor Iko Uwais as Rama, the rookie of the SWAT team, the crap soon hits the fan and Rama is fighting for his life. For Iko's character, Rama, when he's fighting through the various floors, just getting pummeled all his enemies, is he fighting for his wife and his unborn child? Is he fighting for his life, or is he fighting to prove that there are some good officers and policemen out there?
I think he's fighting for all of those and then more on top of that. He's fighting for somebody else in that building, and he's also fighting for his entire team as well. For me, it was always about like it's more than just purely survival, and that he has like a lot at stake when he's doing this as well. But what I thought was what we wanted to do with his character was to kind of like do something a little bit interesting in that we introduce him as the main character in the first 2 minutes, and then for the next 10 to 15 minutes we don't even show him much. He's relegated to the background, and then it becomes about Jaka, and it becomes about the sergeant and the lieutenant, and it becomes about the mission then. And Iko's character ends up sitting in the background for a while because he's the rookie, and he should be in the background. He shouldn't be heard all the time. So we remind the audience that he exists, but we don't show him until when the situation calls for it. He steps up and proves his worth, and proves throughout the film then as the film progresses like how important he was to that team.
Director Gareth Evans had worked with Iko before on the action drama Merantau, about an Indonesian country boy who moves to the city, but instead of discovering himself, gets caught up in Jakarta's underbelly. After Merantau's release, director Gareth was faced with over a year of delayed funding for a bigger film project entitled Berandal. Gareth's response was The Raid, which was light on story this time around and extra heavy on the action.
So it was born out of all this frustration of not being able to make anything for a year and a half. And so I was in this position where I was like, okay, I'm just going to go for it and just make something super tight, fast-paced and aggressive. And while I was writing The Raid, I had this moment where I realized that what I was making, if I took away all the action, I took away all the martial arts, what I was left with was survival horror. And once I realized that, then it was like, oh, I can play around with this.
We have just a little bit of exposition in like the first 15 minutes, and straight away you're into the action, and that's all you need to get you going for him to want to survive, or for the audience to want him to survive.
This film, it's a full-on action film. If I pump too much plot, if I pump too much character development into it, it could be it could be bloated, it could be too much. And this was more about the experience. It was more about the adrenaline rush of that event rather than being everything else that surrounds it then. So those stepping stones were not going to be little scenes of exposition or little scenes of character building. They were suspense moments. They were tension building moments. They were scenes of claustrophobia, scenes of of being hunted, and then those things keep you on the edge of your seat then, and they kind of won't let go of you then.
Described as Die Hard meets Ong Bak and reviewed as the best action movie in decades, does director Gareth believe The Raid has topped those two iconic films? His answer will surprise you in part 2.